Today we're going to talk about common plecos.
You know, the plecos that everybody gets because they're so cheap and put them in any tank and they really shouldn't.
Ha! Truth. Hello.
Hi.
Hope everybody's doing well today. Today we're going to talk a little bit about common plecos.
Yep.
Because it's a common problem.
Yes, a very common problem.
We thought we'd address it one more time here.
Yeah.
Because
well, it's like everybody's first pleco.
Yeah, we've had some friends run into an issue with it, so we thought we'd talk about it.
Yeah, but common plecos are the, she calls them standard plecos sometimes.
Yeah, I call them standard.
They are very, very common, obviously. You find them in any pet store, and they're usually the cheapest ones there. They're like $2, $3 a piece.
Yeah, and they're usually small there.
Yeah, they're usually only about yay big.
They look really cute.
Yeah, well, most people don't think they're cute. They're also known as suckerfish.
Suckerfish, yeah.
They're not necessarily cute, but everybody knows get a pleco to help clean your tank because they are great at getting stuff off the bottom, algae. They do algae control. They'll eat extra food that your fish leave behind. They're like all of mine are named after vacuum cleaners.
Yeah, they are.
But the problem with them is that they get a lot larger than people would imagine. You only see them in the pet stores, and they might be maybe 2 inches, 3 inches tops.
That's bigger than.
And you see them in the little 10-gallon tanks at the pet store.
And
you're like,
there's a whole bunch of them in there, and it's like, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Just no. Just I don't know how else. No.
No.
There are other types of plecos you can get that do not get that large. We're not talking about those this episode. We're talking about those common ones that grow very, very large. And I'm sure we have some footage of some of yours that are massive.
Yeah, the ones that are in my pond, I've got 4 in my koi pond, and each one of them is over a foot long right now.
Right.
They can get up to 3 feet.
Yeah. And I don't know that we got episode of the one that they had at the pet store that was 3 feet long. Somebody turned in because they just couldn't even keep it in their pond anymore.
Yeah. These fish get huge.
They get huge, and it's misleading when they say, "Oh, it'll only grow to the size of your tank." That's not true.
No.
I had one that outgrew I had a little 10-gallon tank, and I didn't know any better back in the day, and it outgrew my tank, and I had to take it back to. Luckily, I was in a local pet store by then. I was learning a lot about fish. And he took it back and gave me a smaller one that didn't get as large.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I got lucky, but you got to remember that. It's
yeah. Now they are slow growers.
Yeah, they do.
The ones that I have are about 7 years old now.
Yeah.
And it took them about, I'd say, 4 years to get to the point where they were starting to push a foot long.
Right. I think I had mine for about 4 years when he or she, I don't even know, got too big for my tank, and I had a little 10-gallon, then I had a 20-gallon. He outgrew the 20-gallon.
Yeah.
So, yes, they do outgrow even the 20-gallon tanks. So, I mean, he was massive.
Well, they'll outgrow 55.
Yeah.
I mean, during the hurricane, we've had to put, like, my 4 big guys into a 55 before. You want to talk about 4 very pissed-off plecos.
Yeah, they're used to having that nice big 1,000-gallon pond behind you.
Yeah.
Behind you guys, not me. Yeah. They're behind you. Look over your shoulder. Sorry.
But yeah, common plecos, most people get them because they're cheap, because they are very easy to breed. The breeders get thousands of them at a time.
Right.
They're very cheap. I think the most expensive I've seen a common pleco was like $4.
Right.
And of course, so when you're new to the fish keeping hobby and you're trying to go for those starter fish, you don't want to put a big investment in your tank. So you'll probably get the 2 fish you don't want to really get, and that's the feeder goldfish at 20 cents a piece and a common pleco for $2. Those are the 2 species of fish you don't want to put in a tiny tank.
Yeah, and everybody does it. I mean, yes, you want to get the tank up and running, and you want to get it stable and everything, but those are not the fish for it.
No.
Because they're not long-term fish. Not in a smaller tank.
Yeah.
Not even in a 55, honestly. They'll last for a while in a 55, but eventually you're going to have to get them out of there and get something smaller. So we highly recommend the smaller plecos. There are many different kinds of plecos. There's a lot of designer plecos. Spend an extra couple of dollars to get one of those. You don't even need a pleco right away when you're first starting your tank.
Right.
Honestly, you don't need a pleco for the first month.
Yeah.
So after that's when you actually need to get
And
one.
there are other fish that'll do the same job, like the cories, for example. The cories are great at cleaning up the debris at the bottom.
The bottom. They can't do the algae on the sides, but they can do the debris on the bottom. So cory catfish.
So if
And
you
they have a
don't
lot of
have
different
an
types of
problem.
those, many different kinds of those. But yeah, just common plecos, unless you have a pond
Or a really
or
large aquarium.
a very large aquarium, we honestly do not recommend them. They
Yeah.
just get too big, and then you have to figure out a home for them, and they're very uncomfortable. They
And
get
they're
very
also
uncomfortable.
very tricky to net because they're very
Yes,
spiny.
they're very spiny, and then they get stuck in your net, and then you have to cut the
Yeah.
net, which
Yeah, we've had
practical
to do.
experience here.
Yeah,
we cut it.
Yeah,
cut
we
a net.
actually use a pitcher, like a Kool-Aid pitcher,
Yeah.
to push the plecos in to move them because you can't net them. They
They ruin
once
your
they
nets.
get to be adults, they have these sharp spines, sharp fins that'll get tangled up in nets. They're a pain in the ass to catch to begin with because they hug the bottom or they hug the side. So yeah, just common plecos are a handful. They get big.
And we're not saying don't get them, just don't. Just
No, unless you have a good 200
Unless you
gallon
have a good,
aquarium.
at least 150, 200 gallon aquarium, and honestly, even then, only just get one, maybe two. I guess you should probably get two because they like to be together.
No,
Okay.
actually, plecos, they can get territorial.
Okay.
So if you
Well, I know
have
that if they
one-
weren't raised together, they do.
Right,
but-
like my 4 were raised together, but that's why I'm not putting that
yeah,
one we rescued
we have
in
one
there.
that's rescued, and we can't put him in with the 4 because they'll bully him to death, and he's much smaller than they are. But yeah, so you got to be careful with that too. If you already have a pleco, you can't add another one to an pre-existing tank because they're bullies. If the one other one's bigger, he's going to go after it.
Yeah.
Keep that in the back of your mind too.
And that holds true with a lot of different
A lot of
pleco
different,
species.
yeah, a lot of different fish in
Like
general.
But look at Roomba. When we put those
Yeah.
we put 4 baby rhinoplex in with Roomba, who's our adult, and she tolerated them for about 2 months, and then
About
she
2
was
months,
like,
and she
okay,
was like,
out.
"Yeah, this is done."
Get
And she started
out.
bullying them to heck, and we had to get them out because she was just harassing the heck out of them. So it does happen, and but she gave them a good few months to grow a little bit. And once
Yeah.
she realized what they were, she's like, "No, get out of my tank." But yeah, just use your common sense. If you have a small tank, find a different type of pleco.
Yeah.
There's so many of them out there.
I would say bristlenose for a really
We
small
recommend the
tank.
bristlenose because they only get to be about 4 inches max.
About
3 to
5
4.
or 6, the
Yeah.
larger ones. The
They
males.
really, after they've lived, I mean, that takes them a hot minute to grow that big,
Yeah.
but they can go in a 10 gallon, you can get 2 or 3 of them, you can, but just keep in mind if you have a bunch of things that they can hide in, if you have a male and a female,
They can breed. They
they breed like rabbits.
Yes.
Just keep that in the back of your mind too.
Yes.
Plecos are very easy breeders, so if you have more than one, try to figure out what the sex is. Because it's going to
Which
be
is
ugly.
hard with common plecos, by the way.
Harder with common plecos than with bristlenose. Bristlenose, it's pretty easy. They literally, the males have bristles on their face, and the females, big ugly ones, and the females do
the
not.
females have little
Little
ones.
tiny ones, if that.
Yeah.
Sometimes the females don't even have them,
Yeah.
or they're like little nubs. You can't, so it's a really obvious difference when they're grown.
But that's for the bristlenose, also known as bushy nose.
Bushy nose.
But when it comes to common plecos, good luck. I've got 4 that I still can't tell you what size.
I have no idea.
I'm guessing that Hoover's a female just because of how big,
Wide.
wide she is.
Right.
And I understand that
She
with
really did name them
plecos-
after.
Well, I've got Hoover, Dirt Devil, Kirby, and Dyson.
And you have Roomba.
And I have Dyson and Roomba. But
Yeah.
I really didn't name them after vacuum cleaners.
And now she didn't name the other 2 that are out in the big pond outside.
Yeah, they don't have
They don't have
names.
names. Shame on her.
Well,
But if you have some name suggestions, like, subscribe, comment below. We'd love to hear. Find some vacuums, obscure ones. We'll name them for you.
yes. So here we go. Our new thing: name the 2 unnamed plecos in the koi pond.
And there's also a baby in the other. They can name the baby.
Yeah, we've also got a baby.
Name
that
the
we
baby.
res-
So there's 3 of them you can
It's
name.
not really a baby. It's like a juvenile, but it
Well,
got too big.
compared
for
to
its
us, it's a
tank.
baby. Compared to ours, it's a baby.
One of our rescues.
It's one of our rescues. So it doesn't have a name either. So by all means, name a pleco. It should be fun, and we'll pick a name. If we like the name, we'll pick it.
Yeah, and we'll announce it on air.
We'll announce it on air. But anyway, like, subscribe, share, comment below. Buy some stuff from our stores. You do know we still want to make Korana.
Yeah.
So, and I have my shirt on.
And I actually have a shirt on.
Oh, she's wearing a shirt today.
Yes, I'm wearing a
Go
shirt
you.
today.
Yay. All right, but yeah, buy something, like, subscribe, comment. If you have any ideas, we'd love to hear them. We have the new store as well that
Yeah,
has
the
the ornaments.
And,
And all the links are below.
And we now have the filter cages.
We now have the filter cages, so those are interesting. We'll have to talk about those in another episode.
Yep.
But yeah, so by all means, like, subscribe, share, comment below. Buy stuff. That's subtle, right? Buy
Yeah,
stuff.
she's about as subtle as a sledgehammer.
I'm not. I don't have time for all that. So, but anyway, we love hearing from you, and thank you again for all the participation we're getting. We do appreciate you.
Yes.
If you have any questions, again, just let us know. We'd love to help. Common plecos, no.
Yeah, and if you already made the mistake and got a common pleco and you're trying to figure out how to rehome it, just drop us a message below. All we need to know is what state and city you're in, and we'll be able to help you find a place that'll rehome it.
That'll rehome it for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because that's pretty common.
So yeah, do not throw them in your local ponds.
Oh my God, don't.
Or the springs. We have a spring here in Florida that somebody threw a couple of common plecos in there, and they have literally taken over the springs. There are thousands of them. They do a roundup every year. They can't get all of them, but they literally have to do a roundup every year and euthanize all of these plecos because there are so many of them that they're taking over the springs.
And they're
an invasive species.
Yeah, they're messing with the erosion.
The ecosystem.
And the manatees.
So that's where the manatees go in the winter. So they literally have to do a roundup every year. So please don't do that. Don't throw them in your local pond thinking, oh, they'll be fine. They're a fish. They're not. They are fish. They're fish.
They're not.
Mr. Couch is going to have fun with that one. They are fish, but they're not local to your area. So please don't put them in a pond or a lake or a river. It's not fair to the local wildlife, and it's not fair to them. Y'all have a nice evening.